Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Richard G. Medlock, and welcome to Sensible Truth on the Medlock Post Network. This is episode 3. Yes, we have combined the two, Sensible Truth and the Medlock Post, and this is how we're going forward. And I hope that you have enjoyed so far the feedback from our first two episodes. Has been very positive and influential. And that's our purpose is to lift, inspire, encourage, and empower. We're going to do the same thing here today. But before we do that, and I meant to mention this yesterday, we originate on Blog Talk Radio. That should, of course, they shut down in January, which is sad. But we are on Rumble. This is where we originate. But we're also posting now on our um, YouTube channel, which has been dormant for a while. And so we're posting there again, and it's under videos and it's under podcast. So either one, but just look Sensible Truth on the Medlock Post or search Richard G. Medlock. If you do Richard Medlock, there's a whole bunch of them, but Richard G. Medlock you get here. So you can watch it in video or watch it in podcast. It doesn't matter. So we're looking at a couple of other platforms and how to get them activated to spread the good word here. All right. So today, before we get into our main subject, Ralph Waldo Emerson gave us this quote, "Truth is the property of no individual, but is the treasure of all men." And I love it when he says it's the treasure, the treasure. And that's how we should look at truth when we're looking for this treasure. You know, men through the ages have gone out looking for treasure to get rich and everything, but you're not going to get any richer than knowing the truth. And then this one, there's um, been a lot of people that have claimed to say something like this. The truth disrupts the illusion. That's why some people get mad when you speak it. They rely on the lie to fill the peace. So we're seeing some of that in the world today. I think a lot of that. But I want to talk about Cicero's The Essence of Citizenship. He says, the good citizen is one who cannot tolerate in his country a power that pretends to be superior to the laws. Well, we're going to delve into that statement today because it is an all-encompassing statement about through the ages how monarchs and kings and queens and dictators and tyrants and so forth have ruled and made themselves superior to the law. They actually made themselves the law. Whatever they say went. Now, it's called tyranny. It's also called communism. So this profound statement encapsulates the essence of civic responsibility. That's you and I. That's we, the people. And it encapsulates the foundational principles of a republic governance. To fully appreciate the depth of Cicero's wisdom, it's essential to dissect and explore the various components of his assertion. So, what is the concept of the good citizen? Now, a lot of us probably sit there and say, you know what? I'm a good citizen. I don't break a lot of laws. Yeah, I speed, and every now and then I might run a red light accidentally or go through a stop sign real slow. But basically, I'm a good person. I pay my taxes and so forth. But is that enough. So let's see what the concept of the good citizen really is in Cicero's view. Now, in Cicero's view, a good citizen is not merely someone who abides by the law, but one who actively upholds and defends the principles of justice and legality. Hmm. If we take that definition and compare it to some of our people in public office, do they fit into that definition? You answer that question for yourselves. So, this good citizen recognizes the importance of laws in maintaining order and ensuring fairness within the society. The good citizen is thus a guardian. He's actively upholding. Now he's a guardian of the social contract, understanding that laws are the bedrock upon which a stable and just society is built. Who makes up society? What makes up society? Individuals. Individuals make up a community, a society, a country. And it is up to the individuals, we the people, to maintain the laws to make it stable and just, and and equality takes place. So the good citizen in Cicero's philosophy embodies a profound moral and ethical responsibility that transcends passive compliance with the law. Go back to the founding of the United States of America. Now, I've picked up some listeners in Africa, but this applies to them as well. They knew that a society needed to be moral and ethical to be self-governing. We have laws, but we need to be self-governing. So this individual is an active participant in the preservation of societal harmony, understanding that laws are not merely rules, but ethical edifices that foster collective well-being. Good citizenship requires vigilance and acute awareness of societal challenges and an unwavering resolve to counter forces that threaten justice or equality. So, so far, how are you coming out of this as a good citizen? Are you fighting for right and justice and equality and legality? Are you active in that? That's what we need in a good citizen. So a good citizen is driven by a sense of duty, not only to follow the laws, but uphold the spirit of the law. So let me ask you a question. This is an interesting question. Which is more important, the letter of the law or the spirit of the law? Which is more demanding of a good citizen? Which can have the greater impact? Yeah, I'm letting you think about that for a minute. The letter of the law is okay, I'm going to put my trash out, I'm going to pay my taxes, I'm going to pay my mortgage, my rent, whatever. I'm just going to go forth. That's the minimum standard, isn't it? The spirit of the law is a higher standard and requires more effort on an individual's part, a community, and societal's part. But I might have to add more to that in another show. So this entails confronting injustices, advocating for reforms when necessary, and holding institutions to high standards of accountability. That gets into the spirit of the law. Confronting injustices, advocating for reforms when necessary, and we do need reforms, good reforms, and holding institutions to high standards of accountability. Now, we've got a lot of institutions in the United States right now and around the world that need to be held accountable for not keeping up to the high standards of society. So, by being informed and engaged, the good citizen ensures that democratic principles or republic principles are not just theoretical ideas, but lived realities. Do you understand the difference? Are we just going to have a theory out here and see if it works? Or is it lived realities? Well, in the United States, we started with a theory. And it didn't take many years to prove it wasn't a theory anymore. That freedom works. Free people will engage in the spirit of the law and the spirit of progress and the spirit of self evaluation and self rule and progress and use their talents to make life better for other people. That's what we're looking for. Good citizens act as the custodians of the public good, balancing individual freedoms with communal responsibilities and valuing the diverse contributions of all members of society. Diverse contributions. Every society is diverse. The world is diverse. But don't turn it into a war to divide people, but to bring them, value the diversity, to bring it together. Now, don't confuse this with some of these woke ideas that are trying to do nothing but divide. Don't do that. Now, Cicero's vision of the good citizen also highlights the importance of education and reason, which we talked about yesterday, in fostering an informed populace. A good citizen is not swayed by the whims of a populist rhetoric or the allure of unscrupulous power. I want power. They've got power. They know more than we do. Let's do what they say. That's a no-no, folks. We should never put anybody on a pedestal. And good citizens exercise critical thinking and sound judgment. So it is this intelligent rigor and commitment to ethical principles that empower individuals to navigate complex political landscapes and advocate for justice, fairness, and the common good. Now, we covered a lot of ground here, but we're continuing. So let's focus now on the intolerance of illegitimate power. Cicero's quote emphasizes the importance of vigilance against any entity that seeks to place itself above the law. History, ladies and gentlemen, has shown that people or groups that put themselves above the law end up failing. Their societies start failing. Civil war, other things happen. Economies collapse. It's fact. So there is a clear denouncement of tyranny and despotism. When an individual or group assumes power that is not checked by legal constraint, it poses a direct threat to the principles of democracy and the rule of law. The good citizen, in Cicero's perspective, must therefore be intolerant of any such power, as it undermines the very fabric of a lawful society. So, throughout history, the unchecked rise of illegitimate power has often led to the erosion of civil liberties, freedom, the destabilization of societies, economic, morally, ethical, and everything, and the suppression of dissenting voices. Cicero's denouncement of such power is not merely a critique of tyranny, but a call to action as active sentinels of democracy, of freedom. Intolerance of illegitimate power begins with the recognition that power without accountability disrupts the delicate balance necessary to uphold justice and fairness in a society. A power, oops, a power that evades legal constraints threatens to replace governance with domination, where decisions are driven by self-interest rather than the public good. Cicero's good citizen, therefore, must cultivate a discerning eye capable of identifying when power moves beyond its rightful boundaries. That's not hard to do, but you got to catch it early. That's the problem. And that's where good education comes in. This requires a commitment to transparency and a willingness to question authority when it deviates from its obligations of the people. Vigilance in this regard is not merely reactive, it is proactive, demanding that citizens create and strengthen systems that prevent the emergence of unchecked power in the first place. What's going on? Okay. All right. Moreover, intolerance of illegitimate power includes the courage to challenge its manifestations, even when doing so involves personal risk or the possibility of ostracization. History provides numerous examples of individuals and groups who embody this principle, stood firm against despotic regimes, whether through peaceful protest, intellectual resistance, or other forms of civil disobedience. These actions underscore the idea that the health of a democracy is intrinsically tied to the willingness of its citizens to confront the encroachment of unlawful power. Cicero's insight underscores also the necessity of institutional integrity. A society that tolerates corrupt or compromised institutions creates an environment where legitimate power can thrive. Strong, independent institutions act as the structural backbone of a lawful society, ensuring that no individual or group can place themselves above the law. Institutions alone are not sufficient. They require the active support and scrutiny of we the people to remain effective. When citizens abdicate their role as overseers of power, despotism finds fertile ground to take root. At its core, intolerance of illegitimate power is an expression of respect for the rule of law. Let me read that again. Intelligence of illegitimate power is an expression of respect for the rule of law and the collective values enshrined within it. It is a refusal to accept any authority that seeks to undermine the social contract, whether through coercion, manipulation, or the exploitation of societal divisions. John Locke talked about that. Alexander Hamilton, John Adams, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, etc., talked about that. By embodying this principle, individuals contribute to the safeguarding of freedoms and the preservation of a just order that benefits who? All members of society. The roles of law in society. Laws are designed to be impartial and to apply equally to all members of society, regardless of their status or position. They serve as a safeguard against the abuse of power by ensuring accountability and transparency. Cicero's insistence on the supremacy of good laws, underscores the idea that no one, not even the rulers, should be above the law. We hear that no one's above the law, but boy, anyway, this ensures that governance is conducted with fairness and that citizens can trust the justice system to protect their rights and freedom. Laws act as the foundation of societal order, serving both a guiding framework and as a protective barrier of individual rights. Where do these rights come from? They come from God, not from the government. The government is to protect those God-given rights. They are not mere instruments of governments. Rather, they embody the collective values, ethics, and aspirations of a community. By codifying principles such as equality, justice, and liberty, laws create an environment where individuals can coexist harmoniously and pursue their endeavors without fear of infringement or oppression. The founding fathers understood that, and they knew that the law needed to punish the lawbreakers. And when that doesn't happen, chaos ensues. Beyond their protective function, laws facilitate stability by providing a predictable structure for resolving disputes and addressing grievances. This predictability fosters trust in institutions and ensures that conflicts are settled fairly rather than arbitrarily. The consistency of legal process also strengthens the confidence of the populace in the justice system, cultivating a sense of security that is essential for the flourishing of both individuals and the collective society. Furthermore, the rule of law acts as a counterbalance to power, ensuring that leaders and institutions remain accountable to the people they serve, we the people. By establishing clear boundaries and mechanisms for oversight, laws prevent the concentration of unchecked authority, reducing the risk of nepotism or corruption. Corruption, we hadn't mentioned corruption until now. I know your mind's crumble. Well, there's a lot of corruption. This accountability is vital not only for the preserving of republic principles, but also for maintaining the integrity of governance. Education excuse me, education above laws is equally significant. An informed citizenry is better equipped to understand their rights and responsibilities, enabling them to engage in civic life with purpose and impact. When individuals are aware of the laws that govern them, they're more likely to hold authorities accountable and advocate for reforms that align with their ethical convictions. In this way, the role of laws extends beyond their practical application, the letter of the law, becoming a catalyst for empowerment and civic participation, the spirit of the law. Lastly, laws transcend their legalistic boundaries to function as moral signposts guiding behavior and setting societal expectations. By delineating what is acceptable versus unacceptable, laws encourage ethical conduct and deter actions that may harm others or disrupt communal harmony. This moral dimension of laws underscores that their importance not only as tools of enforcement, but also as instruments of societal cohesion and shared values. And you say, Richard, we're not in that situation right now. We are in parts in a lot of the country. The media wants to think we're just totally just gone wasted. That's not true. In essence, while laws are often seen as rigid constructs, their essence lies in their ability to safeguard freedoms, promote fairness, and adapt to the ever-changing dynamics of human societies. Cicero's emphasis on the supremacy of laws reminds us of their profound significance in ensuring that power is exercised responsibly and that the collective fabric of society is preserved for generations to come. So, in conclusion, Cicero's assertion that the good citizen is the one who cannot tolerate in his country a power that pretends to be superior to the laws is a powerful reminder of the critical role individuals play in upholding justice and democracy. It calls for active engagement, unwavering commitment to the principles of the rule of law. In honoring this wisdom, we contribute to the creation and maintenance of societies that are fair, just, and resilient against the forces that seek to undermine them. And let's finish with this from Aristotle. Quote, be a free thinker and don't accept everything you hear as truth. Be critical and evaluate what you believe. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our message today, this summer solstice day in June, first day of summer in the northern hemisphere and first day of winter in the southern hemisphere. There are a lot of things that we need to rebuild in our society, and respecting the rule of law is one of them. And it starts from the good citizen upholding them, being active in the community. Use your civic responsibilities to turn this around, to make it better. And I think we can do that. That's why we're here, is to lift, inspire, encourage, and empower. And I hope you take heed in this message today. So this is Richard G. Medlock signing off, saying, have a good day. See you next time.